Hello friends, and welcome to a new Happy Learning video. Have you ever noticed how many books there are around us? Books of adventures, of games, animals, and riddles. There are so many, and they're so wonderful. Well, perhaps these books would have not existed if it weren't for a wonderful machine invented by Johannes Gutenberg in the 15th century. Today, in the series Great Inventions That Changed History, we are going to learn about the printer. Well, the truth is that the printing press was not created by a single person. It was something that took shape over many years and with the contribution of many creators, like all great inventions. Although it was Gutenberg who stole the limelight. Before the printing press appeared, books were written by hand and then were copied one by one. Can you imagine having to copy a whole book? As it took so long to copy them and required so much work, the books were very expensive and could only be bought by people with a lot of money. Education and culture did not reach everyone, and most people were illiterate. They could not read. The printing press is a machine that is used to make books quickly. But the first idea of something similar arose in China in the 4th and 5th centuries. The Chinese invented xylography, which consisted of a wooden plate on which a text or drawing was carved. This plate was coated with ink and rested on silk or papyrus. Very clever, but it was very difficult to carve a whole text on wood, and, moreover, few copies could be made because it would wear out very quickly. Hundreds of years later, in the 11th century, also in China, a gentleman called Bi Sheng came up with the idea that if he made the letters in clay, one by one, he could move them, exchange them, and reuse them to write different words. Another great breakthrough! But the system was still not very practical. The clay letters were easily broken, and the truth is that it was not very successful. But in the 15th century, a German goldsmith arrived and created the machine that would revolutionize the whole world, Johannes Gutenberg. He was the genius who made wooden molds of letters and filled them with lead. He made many letters and put them on a support to form the words. He fixed these supports to an old grape press, soaked them in ink and, ta-da! The printing press was born. Now, many books could be made in a short time and much more cheaply. Thanks to this ingenious invention, everyone could learn to read and society became much more educated. Of course, this machine was perfected more and more, and now books come out of much more sophisticated printers, and some don't even need to be printed like those from Happy Learning. But if it weren't for that first printing press made by Gutenberg, maybe tonight you wouldn't fall asleep reading that story you like so much. Has that ever occurred to you? Goodbye, friends. See you in the next video.
Search us and subscribe to Happy Learning's YouTube channel.
Hello friends, welcome to a new Happy Learning video. Today, we're going to learn all about the history of writing. We all know that both writing and reading are really important in our education because, thanks to them, we can learn many new exciting things. But have you ever asked yourself how writing was created? Writing began because of people's need to express their ideas as well as to organize things. This way, everything would be reflected somewhere physically. The first form of writing that existed were the pictograms, also known as ideograms. They were drawings. For example, if they wanted to represent the sun, the heat, or light, they drew a sun. These are a few examples. Their origin was in Mesopotamia and Egypt back in the year 4000 BC. But there are things that can't be described through drawings, though, and that is why the Sumerians needed to invent the syllabic system, which divided each word by cuneiform signs. They have a weird name, but they were very simple, as you can see. They look like nails, don't they? Still nowadays, both in China and Japan, they continue to use a similar type of writing. In the past, at the beginning of writing, paper didn't exist, so other materials were used to write on, such as stone, wood, or clay. The Romans, for example, wrote on large stone monuments to make sure their messages would last a long time. The Egyptians were the first to invent something similar to paper. By using the stem of an aquatic plant, sheets were made and then written on. It was called papyrus, and here you can see an example of one. It's amazing that this was written by someone thousands of years ago. In the 8th century, the Arabs introduced paper into Europe. But what really made the evolution of the history of writing and reading was the invention of the printing press in the year 1440. Johannes Gutenberg was the creator, and up until then, all books had to be copied by hand using ink and bird feathers, and it took a very long time. With printing, everything is now so much faster. After that, other things were invented, such as pencils, pens, typewriters like the one on this image, which I'm sure your parents used at some time. Today, we read and write using computers, tablets, and mobile phones. These new technological changes are creating a fantastic change in the history of writing, and yet they do not change what is most important. As we mentioned at the beginning of the video, reading and writing are fundamental to our education. There isn't a cheaper way to travel the world than by reading a book. You can learn so many things. So now you know, keep reading. It's fun. Goodbye, friends. And don't forget to subscribe to Happy Learning TV.
Search us and subscribe to Happy Learning's YouTube channel.